Jesus, Joe. Like you're making all these noises like you're about to sing like Bohemian Rhapsody. Like you're just about to continue.
Well, that's later in this episode, Jared. I've been practicing it a lot.
Let me drink my throat goat tea before
Exactly.
I get started.
A hot toddy. I don't know.
Lemon yellow, orange yellow, lemon yellow, orange yellow.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here today to get super nostalgic, especially for any of our millennial listeners out there, and talk about internet culture. My co-host and I, we both are of the generation. We're kind of the in-betweeners. You know, we weren't born with iPads and tablets in our hands. Netflix wasn't a streaming service when we were younger. Netflix used to actually send us DVDs in the mail to watch. And so we're going to talk about internet culture and how it's changed over the years and what we've seen from our childhood until now. So it'll be a fun episode today. I'm looking forward to talking about just all the crazy technological advances throughout our lives. And it's going to be a fun episode today. So if you're curious to get the perspective of somebody that grew up with little to no functioning internet and now live in the digital age, this is the episode for you. So without further ado, I'm joined by my good buddy and my co-host, Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Sup, dude? This just got me thinking, I wonder at what point are we going to just have, like, not have... Like, you know, I'm looking at my,
like
at
a
my
holograph
desk right now. Yeah,
something
like that. I'm looking at my desk right now, and there's just screens all over the place. Like, there's just screens all over the place. It's disgusting. There are wires, screens. You know, like, I wonder at just one point, like, we're going to do the exact same thing we're doing right now. God help me all if we're still doing this at a point where this technology becomes available. But, and I can just go sit on my sofa and just, like, talk to you. I don't have to hang out with people. Be like, hey, want to hang out? And be like, bleep, bloop, bleep. And they just stand there. We drink, we walk around. Hey, do you want to go to my place or your place? I'll go to your place. You can even, like, make those decisions. I like your setup more than mine. And these are not even real setups we're talking about. These are all virtual setups.
We're moving in that direction, I think.
Are we?
I think so, man. I'll just never forget when they had that hologram at, I think it was like Coachella. It was either of like Tupac or I don't remember who it was. I think it was Tupac.
But you'll never forget.
And clearly I already forgot. But I just remember seeing that on stage and just being like, wow.
Were you there?
That's crazy. No. I saw videos online. No, okay. I've never been to Coachella. But it was just crazy to see that, dude.
The way you were saying it, I was like, I did not realize you went there.
No,
and I was like, oh, that's why you didn't. That's why you don't remember. You were probably all hopped up on those party drugs. Didn't even know what was going on.
But yeah, it's crazy though, man. Like one thing I was talking about with my roommates the other day was just how fast technology has evolved, and obviously us humans have not evolved nearly as quickly as the tech. So, like, I wonder sometimes, like, even trying to explain things to, like, my parents or, you know, my older, like, aunts or uncles, like, it's just funny because I hate to say this, Jared, and I hope this won't happen, but we might be those old people one day where it's
Chad,
like...
you already are that person.
Well, I said we. I'm looping you into this. I'm already a part of that, but you're not yet. But maybe one day you will be,
Don't
Jared.
put us in the same category. I'm much better with technology than you.
I think that's debatable, man. You might be better with phones. Dude, my job is e-learning.
You teach people how to set up their Microsoft Teams and how to make sure their camera's working properly. Yeah, I mean, I use the same sort of tech. Yeah, okay, Chad. All right. We don't need to have a who's better at technology off, but the fact that you'd ever think that you're better at technology than me is sort of hilarious to me. I find that hilarious.
That's okay, Jared.
I've seen you interact with all sorts of technology, and it kind of reminds me of my parents already. I mean, obviously you're better than them. You're not that bad. But it harkens, is what I'm saying.
Right. But yeah, it's just wild though, man. Like even just to think about, like I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, you know, we had a giant computer that weighed like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like a huge box. And you know, nowadays
thing,
you can get like a laptop that weighs nothing. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. Like just to think about how much has changed, and even the technology, you know, to bring it to, you know, the untranslatable aspect of it. The technology has changed the way we use language. all that random, internet slang and stuff like that. It's just, I think it's phenomenal just to see how everything has kind of played out in the last like decade more like last 20 years. Because I think we're going to be talking a little bit about the early noughts, right? The early 2000s today.
Is it knots or aughts?
Not
is zero.
Yeah, you're right. Not is zero.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I guess 20 years at this point. Sure.
Which is, pretty crazy to think about. Before we get into all that, though, Jared, I do have a quick little shout-out today.
Okay.
So I don't know if have you heard what's been going on in the southeastern Pacific, Jared?
Shark mating season, of course.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe. But there was actually a volcano that erupted near Tonga. Have you heard about this at all?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, though, dude, is I haven't, I've heard about it through a few friends of mine, but unless you, it's weird. It's really not on the radar, I think, especially of a lot of people in the U.S. I'll be honest, most Americans probably don't know where Tonga is. It's by New Zealand, for the folks out there listening. And I don't know, man. I just read this and I was kind of shocked. And I don't know if there have been any casualties yet, but apparently some of the tsunami warnings have thankfully gone down. But I just want to give a shout out to all the folks out in Tonga, because I can't imagine, dude, just that's got to be terrifying.
Back and forth between Tonga and Tongo.
Sorry, I mean Tonga.
Okay.
Tonga. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I heard about it, but just in the fact that, I scrolled through Twitter and I saw mention of it, but not I'm abreast to all the happenings. But yeah, shout out to the people of Tonga.
For sure. Definitely. Yeah. Well, dude, I was thinking it might be fun today to talk about some slang from the early 2000s. Some of it is obviously related to internet culture and technology, and then who knows? Maybe if we're feeling extra untranslatably, I got a couple of our quote unquote standard untranslatables in a foreign language. But I'm just curious, Jared, what were some terms that you vividly remember when you were younger? People started kind of throwing around when either on an instant messaging site or texting or any kind of early internet tech type of slang that you might have used.
I mean, obviously LOL's got to be one of the earliest. That's going to be one of, at least for me personally. Mm-hmm. I never did the smiley faces and stuff with I don't want to say never, but that wasn't really my thing. I mean, I'm not really an emoji person either. I'm trying to think. I never really did this, but I'm very familiar with it. The ASL.
What is that?
Age, sex, location. You've never heard that before?
No, I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think that was a popular chat room thing. Okay. I never did that either, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really, the only quote unquote chat rooms I did was occasionally on AIM when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But okay, ASL. I mean, I the other funny kind of slang, or not even slang, but internet type of writing term as well, which was interesting, was always the M and then 29 or whatever, and then the F 24, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never forget one of the first times I saw that. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And then it's oh, that's your gender or sex and your age.
It was a fun one back in the day. Speaking of early internet slang, you're not talking about, that's not slang though. That's just the identify. That's an ASL.
Right.
Is what that is.
Right.
Just without the L.
Right.
One that I always not baffled me, but was the iterations of of different ways of saying lol. So there was lol. Right. Then there's LMAO. Then there is ROFLMAO.
Yep.
Then people started saying Rafflecopter. Remember that?
I remember that one. Yep. Rafflecopter was a good one.
Which
sure.
I don't understand how we got to copter.
Right.
But there was just there were so many of them. But there was a whole stage where I stopped doing LOL. It felt childish, and then just only used haha, but then in the
Right.
past couple of years, I've gone back to using LOL again. It's come
weird.
back into
Me too, man. I used to always be a haha,
vernacular.
and now I'm going to the LOL more. I don't know why.
Now I feel like because there's strategy to it, you know. It's like to me sometimes lol is I almost use it more sarcastically.
Right.
Where
Yeah,
I'm like
that's
laughing
true.
at someone rather than with someone.
Right. For sure. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, you're right,
I
though. It
don't
was
know. I don't know.
crazy. All the different derivatives of LOL, LMFAO, LMAO.
Yeah,
it's,
remember that music group, LMAO?
Yep.
That was super early 2000s right
That's
there.
like
When I walk in the
I'm
club,
sexy and I know it,
all
right?
lies on me.
I'm sexy and I know it, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that the
yeah,
song?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with the Party Rock crew.
Right.
All drinks off. How do I know all the words? I don't know where these words are coming from in my brain.
Right? They've been
shot.
That's a different song, though.
But it's still LMA. It's still the
Is it
same
really?
group. I think
Okay.
so. I think it's maybe T-Pain is featured in it.
Okay.
But I think that's LMAO and
I think Shots
what
is Lil Jon.
LMFAO? LMFAO. Oh Jesus! Too many computers in front of me. Once again, LMFAO.
Too many screens, not enough holograms
I think
yet,
it's-
Jared.
Yeah, it's it's LMFAO featuring Lil Jon.
I see.
It is a LMFAO.
Gotcha,
song.
gotcha.
Don't question my LMFAO knowledge, Chad. How dare
Jared
you?
knows his internet slang and
I
his
still
random
listen to them
factoids
today.
of
They're my
LMFAO. That's awesome.
unironically in my Apple Music right now. No, that's not true. I don't want anyone to believe that.
Yeah. What
But
were some
apparently I know
other-
the words of the song, so
Right. I'm trying to think of what some other big like things I would use when I used to use AIM back in the day, AOL Instant Messenger. I still remember though, Jared, to this day, like my neighbor, he was like in my grade and he came over one day and he told me about it and I had never heard of it. And, because this was before like we really used the internet as heavily as we do now. Like, I remember also being younger and thinking about like being on the internet for like an hour and then you hop off. Whereas it's like nowadays we're like always on the internet more or less, like continuously.
yeah.
But I'll just never forget when my buddy like downloaded AIM on our old like HP, gigantic ass computer. And I remember how much it blew my mind being like, wait a minute. So these people are online at the same time with me and I can talk to them. And he was like, yeah. And it had like the little notification when people would come online, right? Nowadays, everybody's just online all the time. But back then, I think their like screen name would like be grayed out if they weren't online. And then you'd hear like that boop little notification and your friends would be online.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and then oh man, being online was the best.
Yep.
I forgot about that. Yeah, now you just message anyone at any time, and then they're just gonna get it when they get it.
Yeah.
I sort of missed that that idea though of like sitting down to chat with people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's just changed. And that's the other thing though too, Jared, is back then.
But I don't have time for that.
Right.
Yeah, I do. What am I talking about?
Well, the funny thing though too, Jared, is that like when you were back in the day when we weren't online all the time, it was also kind of like, it was more like kind of fun and exciting. And I kind of liked the fact that you weren't always reachable, right? Like you had a life outside of like the virtual world. Whereas nowadays, like the lines are getting more blurred. And I guarantee you, Jared, in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to become even more blurred with, real life and virtual reality and everything else. But
You've yet to give me one slang term.
okay, well here's one that I used all the time was obviously BRB was a big one.
Oh yeah,
BRB, and the funny thing is my coworkers still use that one
sometimes.
Yeah,
like out loud.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Be right back.
Yep. BRB. G2G was another one I loved. Gotta go.
Yeah, no one uses that one anymore.
No.
I guess there's no point.
Right, because you're always online now. Exactly. But yeah, G2G was a
that's
good
so
one.
crazy. That one's fully BRB a little bit too, but I feel like BRB is a little bit more usable than G2G.
Oh, for
but I
sure.
feel like G2G got to go is obsolete. That's obsolete internet slang right there.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's like, where are you going? You got the
Yeah,
internet
what do you
on
mean
your
you
phone.
got to go?
And yeah, exactly.
It's like, all right, you were going to respond in 15 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Like,
Right. Exactly.
okay.
Right. Yeah. And then you got to explain where you went. Yeah. It's easier to just say BRB,
Yeah.
or TTYL.
Oh, yeah. No one uses that one anymore either. Talk to you later.
Jared, maybe my office is weird then, because I use it. My coworkers use BRB and TTYL.
Well, unlike Teams or whatever your little internal communication is.
Yeah, on
That's
our Microsoft
weird.
Teams. Yeah. Or TY or just what was it? THX? Thanks.
You also do this with your coworkers?
A couple of my coworkers will give me a TY once in a while. Yeah.
This is so weird.
It's normally, though, I can tell it's funny. When I get those abbreviations...
I hesitate. Sometimes when I use LOL, I'm like, oh, come on. But it's like, how else am I supposed to make it clear that they made a joke? Or either that or haha.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, that's the response I guess they want.
Or, Jared, you send a laughing emoji or the two tears coming out the eyes.
That seems even weirder to send. I don't know. It's not weird. It's not weird. It's just like, it's not my impulse, I guess is the term. It's not weird.
It's weird, though. My office, we do a lot of, we post a lot of emojis, GIFs, reactions. But I feel like the reactions and stuff, that came a bit later. You know what I mean? That was like after Facebook had become a bit more established.
But I think you're getting into one of my final points that I wanted to talk about today, which is that we're currently witnessing we're in the midst of an internet cultural shift that we'll be talking about later now.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, even the fact that you're having this much sort of chit-chatty, like, online time with your coworkers, I feel like is just a sign of the shift, and the fact that we're all working from home and stuff. And it's just even more integration of that.
Right.
But anyway, can you give me another term?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are you talking so much? Give me terms. Jesus.
This one. It's not like this is a podcast. We need to have a discussion, Jared.
Yeah, but I thought we were doing untranslatables.
So another term that I didn't actually learn really, but I think it was still around when we were kids. I just wasn't a super big gamer, was GG.
What's that?
Good game.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that one either.
Yep.
The popular game one, I know that leaked into popular culture. You probably know it too. I mean, you do know it, but it's sort of like here. Let's see if you can guess it. It's sort of like if it's like a diss almost.
Pwned?
Or there you go. There you go. That's one too. I was thinking of pwned, but noob is that's a video game one too. I forgot about that though?
One. Why did they? Because it went from owned to pwned.
I don't know, dude.
I have no idea. But one of those weird. Same with, I guess, like Rafflecopter, right? Like, why did it evolve into like Rafflecopter?
I bet you pwned has like a more legitimate,
some specific meaning. Yeah,
the P probably stands for something.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Noob was a fun one too, and Noob was one that like my friend group in middle school and high school would throw around all the time. You're such, and we weren't even gamers, but like people would just throw it around all the time.
Here it is. So first of all, it came from World of Warcraft.
Okay,
and it was just a typo. A map designer misspelled. So also someone wrote misspelt.
Okay. And they misspelled.
Is it misspelled? Who
yeah, it's misspelled.
Misspelled owned. Is that some sort of high level prankery that they're pulling on me by misspelling?
Some serious internet trollery, right?
Because that's gonna bother me forever.
Right.
Misspelled. Anyway, it's a World of Warcraft thing. Someone just misspelled something.
Yeah, but but that one got so big that I never really played World of Warcraft. But I never used both of those terms, pwned and noob. Well,
it was something that you sort of use as like if you insulted someone in real life, you pwned them.
Right.
If you hit them with a sick yo mama burn,
right,
you really pwned their ass.
Oh, for sure.
Their butt.
You're right. Exactly. And then all your friends are, LMFAO.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
But, no one knows what I just did, but don't worry about it. Anyway, do you have any more internet slang, Chad?
So another one that I think was pretty funny, and people still use this one to this day, is WTF. I love that one.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one.
WTF, yeah.
And
it's just funny, though, too, like, out of all the, like, different acronyms and abbreviations.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Is that what some people used to say? Was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for WTF?
I don't know about some people, but I had a friend in Germany, Victor, that used to always be like, I like to use what WTF, because if anyone asks me about it, I'll just say I'm just saying Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if other people said that. I know one kid in my time in Germany that did.
Yeah, but WTF was a good one. Obviously, IDK is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now here's one I want to ask you about this, Jared, because I didn't really use this one, but I've seen a lot of people, and I think this one may have came a little bit later. But LMK.
Yeah, let me know. That feels like a more modern. I think it might be.
I think it might be. And let's be honest, I feel like when you're teenagers, you're not telling your friends, let me know. I feel like that's a little bit older. You're busy, you're trying to coordinate shit.
I don't know, basic conversations. Here's one that's been around that I just thought of, that's been around forever and is still used to this day, especially in the Reddit community. Mm-hmm. OP.
Original poster, right?
That's even more of an old school term. Like, it fits on Reddit still because of the way Reddit works. But it's mostly, like, I imagine, originated from like forums and stuff, which is sort of early internet days.
Yeah.
Which is the person that started a thread on like a forum or something.
Speaking of Reddit, dude, if we're going to talk about Reddit, I have to mention this one because I love reading these subreddit threads. AITA. You know what that stands for? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know what that stands for. Am I the asshole? Thread in itself is sort of a internet term that's been.
That's true. That's true.
That's untranslatable right there.
Mm-hmm.
How did that term, which is the thing holding our clothes together, turn into a
I think
string?
That's why. Very clever, Jared. That's why.
Just have to talk it out, and then it comes down.
Exactly.
Oh,
but yeah, I love the like AI, all the random but see, that's kind of the cool thing about a lot of this internet jargon is
jargon.
Jargon. I don't know how you say it.
Is that how you say it? Jargon?
I just pronounce it weird there, I think. Internet jargon.
I got excited.
You're making me self-conscious about my English, Jared. I'm going to start only using acronyms.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Is jargon wrong? I've been saying jargon.
Jargon? I don't know. I have
sounds kind of Europe. English, I meant to say.
Right.
You know what it reminds me of? And I love to say this to myself sometimes. Do you remember from the first Harry Potter where they go to Diagon Alley? And Harry Potter goes, Diagon Alley. For some reason, I just say that to myself in my head sometimes, and it makes me giggle. Anyway, go ahead.
With a lot of this internet jargon, it's very like you're kind of in like the quote unquote in crowd if you know what it is, right? Like if you're like heavily on Reddit, because I'll never forget like one of the first times
I ask too.
Right. Well,
that's why Urban Dictionary is key also.
Oh, for
a key staple of internet slang.
Dude, I'm so glad you mentioned Urban Dictionary because I remember being in high school.
That's early internet days too.
Exactly. And I remember being in high school. I took a very pretty easy computer science class my first or second year of high school. First year of high school. And we spent half of the class just like I don't know how they didn't have Urban Dictionary blocked.
God! And it's either like the best thing, the best thing. Chad means greatest human being in the world, or like Chad means big asshole that no one likes and is a shitty boyfriend.
Yeah, if you look up Chad on Urban Dictionary, Jared, it's all just.
I didn't mean your name specifically. I just meant when people look up there.
For sure.
Your name is a bad example because your name is sort of a stereotype in itself.
Yep.
Urban Dictionary was founded in 1999.
Yeah.
And I mean, even before we were on computers, really.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about
an internet
that.
Staple.
Let's talk about that though, Jared. Kind of what happened in the like late 90s to early 2000s that kind of because Urban Dictionary obviously is a big one, especially when it comes to internet slang and just slang and pop culture in general. But here's one like piece of technology that I think really revolutionized things for a lot of music heads out there, which was in 2001, the Apple iPod and a lot of other MP3 players started to come out.
Yeah, and speaking of internet, that really started the era of children destroying their parents' computers.
Dude, yes, with like LimeWire or FrostWire.
If you're between, let's say, I don't know, 25 and 35 and you didn't break a parent's computer, you did not truly live.
Oh, for sure. It's like,
if
yeah,
you didn't virus the shit out of one of your parents' computers at any point, you did not truly live through that era. Yeah, and that's another thing that is sort of now, what's the term, passe? Like, you don't like that sort of style of, that was the sort of the Wild West of music. I mean, there was Napster. I never really used Napster. I think maybe we were a little young for Napster, but we were firmly in the LimeWire era, which
definitely.
was just like that was the first, like that was, you had access, I don't even know. So LimeWire was like a program where you could just download stuff from the internet, and it was like, does it just like aggregate torrents essentially is what it is?
Correct.
And anything, movies, pictures, games,
music.
programs, music, anything. You could download it. You just type it into the little search bar, and it'll give you like a whole list of various different options. And it sort of has like quote unquote risk level, how quickly it'll take to download, based how big, you know, the basic sort of information. And you just click random shit and download it. And it takes forever. I mean, it took forever in I don't know. It took forever. Like,
well, Jared, that also reminds me of like,
and it was a crapshoot on whether you get something that would destroy your computer with viruses, or something that was actually great quality, or it could be both. Both great quality and still destroys your computer.
Oh yeah, the quality was always iffy. Like I remember when I turned 16, I had I might still have my original iPod somewhere back at my parents' house. I'm gonna go look for it later, but. The funny thing was, though, Jared, is I knew which songs were like from FrostWire or LimeWire versus like a CD, because like the quality was always like night and day.
Oh yeah,
like the volume would either be super loud,
dude. I definitely remember that. There was a firm era where you sort of knew the volume level of certain songs, so if like the next song would come up, it might just blast you out of nowhere, and you had to like turn it down.
It was to the point
you couldn't hear the next song.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is it was to the point where I made playlists with a lot of these songs. Like I would usually like listen to this when I was playing tennis. And the funny thing was I knew I would never shuffle my playlists because the volume levels were so different on all the like songs that were downloaded from like LimeWire or FrostWire, where I knew when I needed to like turn it up or turn it down based on what the next song would be. So it's crazy how you can condition yourself like that.
That was a real wild era. Because I like now, like telling someone I feel like me telling someone like I downloaded an album illegally, I'm not ashamed to do it, but it's like the same level of shame as like telling someone like I shoplifted like a candy bar, where it's like, I'm not proud of it, but I did it.
Right.
And I probably would not do that now. There's no real, and I guess this is the benefit of growing up. And also, I guess the internet's gotten a little bit more complicated these days. I'm sure you could still download music pretty easily, but you know, just growing up and not needing to do that, and I don't know, the whole infrastructure changing so much, where it's like, I guess now that I think about it, even if I were to like download music illegally, just the process of putting it onto my phone would be so annoying. You could do it. It's just, it would be so annoying.
Right.
Even though was the normal process for putting music on your iPod for forever. But now I'm like, I gotta plug it in, go to like click on the song. It's not. I don't need to do this.
Do they even sell MP3 players nowadays? Like, I feel like they've become obsolete with the invention of the smartphone.
MP3 player. I mean, I guess not.
'Cause there's not really a need for them anymore. I mean, I'll never forget though, too, Jared.
Your phone is an MP3 player, though.
What?
Your phone is an MP3 player.
Well, but that's what I mean, though. Like, smartphones have made just a standalone MP3 player basically kind of obsolete.
I just typed in MP3 player, and you can buy it. Like the ones that that I remember from like the early 2000s.
Like a Zune? Isn't that what it was called?
No, I don't think Zunes exist anymore. I think they got out long ago.
Okay.
But like just like those, like even pre-Zune, just like the little like
an iPod Shuffle
bricks kind of thing.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll never forget though, dude. When I was in high school, I still had my Motorola Razr phone, which I thought was cutting edge because I could,
Those
send
are the
a
cool,
picture.
That was the iPhone. That was like the iPhone of the day. The
Right.
Razor. That
Oh,
was like
yeah.
the first, like, not the first, but that was like a properly cool phone. Super
Oh, without a doubt. It was sleek.
You had one?
I did, bro. Like a black one.
Damn, I never had one.
It was dope, man. It was dope. But the funny thing was, I was in band practice when I was in high school, and I remember my drummer had just gotten like one of the first, maybe it wasn't one of the first iPhones. It might have been like an iPhone 2 or 3. I don't remember.
They didn't do 2. It went from iPhone to iPhone 3G, but
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, I think it was an iPhone 3 because it had like the kind of rounded back to it. And it was so funny. I remember him being like, yeah, dude, I can fit 400 songs on here. And I remember like going home and being like to my parents, I'm like, look, if you like don't buy me an iPod, this phone right here, because that's the other thing though. It was a smart call by Apple because all my music was already on iTunes. So it's kind of like, well, the next logical step. And I've been using an iPhone ever since.
When I was in Germany, I got my first cell phone, and that was 2004, but it was just like a brick. But like, there was no chance of my parents getting me a smartphone while I was in Germany. I had a prepaid phone the whole time.
Right.
But they did at one point get me like a new brick, and I felt like it was a game changer. It had like a memory card slot, and it was like
yep.
it had like a proper headphone jack, and it was just like a normal brick phone. But it also was like a legitimate MP3 player. And that I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm on the train listening to music on my phone, and while I play some stupid game, I thought that was cutting edge. It didn't even have a camera on it, but yeah, the download era. How did we get out of that? like at what point did it become sort of culturally
not sustainable,
not
bro.
cool?
You get too many viruses on your damn
I
computer.
guess so. Yeah. Once you've gone through computer number 4, you're like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna buy this album.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna go to FYE and buy this album.
Well, oh, dude, you know what it might have been though too. At least for me, I remember when I was younger, like getting iTunes gift cards. So I think that was the other thing is being able to purchase your music. Like that was before streaming music was even really a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was no Spotify. There was no. I think Pandora came out probably in like I don't know the.
And when
like,
we first got those gift cards, you bought it off of Apple, and then it just downloaded to your computer like normal, right?
well,
or was it still in?
It was for me. It was a card. You had to scratch off the back with
I know
like
what
a
you're talking
coin.
about,
Type
but
in
I
the
mean,
code.
when you downloaded the music,
it was directly on your iTunes. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like on your computer. I mean, it was obviously somehow.
No, it was. I think it was affiliated with your iTunes account because it wasn't on your computer. Because I remember I had gotten something happened.
I think you're right.
I was using like LimeWire or something.
Because I have some of those albums that like still show up in my thing, and I'm like, why do these still show up? And I'm like, oh, probably because I bought them like via iTunes in 2009 or whatever.
Exactly. Speaking of iTunes and Apple Music, can we just say how ridiculous it was that Apple automatically put that like U2 album on
that's
everybody?
hilarious.
That was I got so mad at that, Jared. I'm like, because I don't use Apple Music, I use Spotify, and I remember like when I plugged in my iPhone to like my like car stereo thingy. It automatically started playing U2, and I myself am not a U2 fan. So I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, why is this?"
You know they got paid bank though. Just
for sure.
How much do you have to get paid to just automatically put your album onto everyone that has an iPhone's phone?
It's a pretty chunk of change for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But let's get back to these early 2000s though, Jared, because this is just a fun and nostalgic.
Yeah. Do you have any more slang? Even though I did like that LimeWire talking that I feel like we did not talk enough about the importance of LimeWire. I don't even know what else to talk about it, but that seems so significant in my internet growth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, just that being able to like torrent, pirate, download all those things, like it was a game changer. It really is.
Do you have any more terms you want to?
No, I mean, okay. I think we've covered a lot of the really important internet terms, really. Like the abbreviations we would use a lot. I think the funny thing is now though, Jared, this isn't a term at all, but now some of my friends and some of my coworkers, we now communicate directly through GIFs and memes And I remember when we were in college, like Snapchat's still around. I don't use it personally, but you and I would literally have full-on conversations that were just selfies of each other. Like,
yeah. Do we have conversations, or would we just like meet up with each other?
Well, it was like, hey, what are you doing right now? And like, hey, let's hang out. So that's still kind of a little mini dialogue, I guess. But
I feel like at that
up
stage, we hung out so much that like we didn't even really need to say anything. Like if we messaged each other with like a certain look, or it was just like, oh, this person probably wants to hang out.
Yeah,
the words were just superfluous at that point.
But, Snapchat does bring up something other interesting to mind, Jared, that was another game changer with, like, the internet and technology is apps, bro. Like,
oh, yeah.
Going from a flip phone that you can take a picture to this smartphone where you can download, like, I remember when I downloaded Instagram, and it was still that goofy looking, it looked like a fucking camera that was, like, gray and brown.
Dude, you want to talk about first apps. The first apps were, like sound effect apps. Like I remember way back in the day, like I literally used to have apps where you could just that did stuff like that.
Yep.
There was also, I remember I had a friend in Germany, her little brother, he had the iPod Touch, and he used to do, and this was like early. He is like a tech nerd, with that stuff back in the day, and he used to do like the tricks where it'll be like, look, I'm drinking water, or like, look, I can make things. It's just like. I also remember the app that I used to have on my iPod Touch that was literally just a Zippo. Remember that?
Yes, dude.
And
I
if you
do
flip
remember
it upside down or like move it, the flame would move with the movement of the iPod. Where's some other
Jared,
like stupid early apps?
Well, and that's when, Jared, people stopped using their lighters at concerts during soft love ballads and started using their phones instead.
And that was even and that stage is even gone, because now it's just the flashlight on the phone. Yep. I don't understand the people that use the lighters. How do you keep a lighter lit for that long without it like burning your hand? I don't understand that.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I'm
got
weak,
tiny little thumbs, Jared. That's
I'm weak.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or they just bought the like Martha Stewart Snoop Dogg Bic lighter that has like the longer like spout for like the flame to go out of. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, apps have just revolutionized and like just changed the. I can tell you, Jared, and I mean, we've talked about it when we talked about WeChat. Like the apps in Asia, it's on like a whole nother level. Like we have delivery apps here in the U.S., but like over there, dude, like when I was in China, I could get everything and anything delivered.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
think
crazy.
For us, the progression of delivery was really expedited by the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think we'd be as deep into delivery apps if it weren't for the pandemic, and I don't think we before. And I still don't even do it, but like I did a couple times early pandemic was like curbside grocery, and you could do delivery too, but I did the curbside thing, and like buying my groceries online, and then like having them delivered, or like, just having them dropped in my car. I would never have considered that before the pandemic. And honestly, I still don't even really want to do it. I don't like it.
Right.
I like to wander around, but that seems kind of standard operation. Mm-hmm. That seems like something that's probably been standard operation in China for a while.
Right. Well, even last night, dude, I was hanging out with my roommates, and I only had 2 beers left. And I was joking around with my one roommate because he's lived in China. And I was like, dude, if I was in China, I could order us like 20 beers right now. No problem. And it'd be at my door in 15 minutes.
Can we do that here?
I don't know.
Could. I think you can with what's the app where I think there's an app where they just get like, is it Postmates? I don't know. I've never used it. Where they just like get you stuff. So could like be. You could have them get you like a Xbox 3, well, not a 360, it's 2008. You could just have them like get you like a MacBook at like the Apple store, or like just go buy me something. I think there is some app that does that.
Okay,
but I don't know it, and clearly, so it's not that not that sort of common, I think.
So I want to take a step back in time for us today, Jared, and let's talk about. So we've talked about FrostWire and LimeWire and all that stuff. We've talked about like iPods coming out. Another big thing though too is just the kind of birth and emergence of social media. Like, before Facebook was a thing, it was It was actually, I used something even before MySpace, Jared, called Zanga. I don't know if you ever used that.
I've never heard of that.
But yeah.
That sounds like one of those like instant coffees from the 70s.
Right? But yeah,
Like
Xanga. I don't even know if it still exists. But
Zanga.
the funny thing is, though, Jared.
Never heard of this.
With Zanga and also with MySpace, we were literally doing HTML, just very basic, but we were doing some HTML like coding to get your profile to look how you wanted. You know, like I'll never forget. I saw a meme where a younger person posting on Twitter, like, it's too bad like people can't log on to your Twitter page and like hear your favorite song. And then somebody retweeted it and was like, oh my God, I've gotten too old where people have forgotten MySpace. Because on MySpace you could do that, where you could have your favorite song play when people came onto your page, your top 8 friends.
Space Hay, right?
No, what's that?
Space Hay is it's like a website that is essentially old school MySpace.
Okay.
It's called Space Hay. But yeah. To customize your MySpace page, you had to go into the area where it was like an area where you could put like the About Me section, and it was like there was like a About Me, favorite food, you know that kind of BS, and there were a whole bunch of those different little areas where you could write About Me sections,
right?
Or I don't even understand how, like, who's the first, how did this sort of knowledge of being able to like edit your profile like this, like even get cultivated. I don't even understand that. But or instead of writing these About Me's, which you could do and people did, you could also go to other websites and get codes.
Yep.
And it was literally code, like it was literally like program code, and so it was long ass code, and it could be anything from making a song play as soon as you open their page, or you could have, like, I remember for a second I had like a stick figure that would just dance, do dance moves,
cool.
Or you could have like a little game that you get, like a little like shitty game that you get, like Space Invaders or something.
Change the colors, crazy colors, also your
colors,
background,
like your background design. Yeah, like, scroll bar.
Like I think I had, Jared, I had a scroll bar that was like fire. Like the mouse scroll, it was like a flame. The mouse cursor too. Exactly.
You could change everything. You could change everything. But the more you changed, the more complicated it got, because you had to just paste these into the bios. But then you have to remember what everything is.
Yep.
So you just had to sort of like all right, this is here. This is located here on my page, so that means it's probably in the blah blah blah, like the favorite food section, because it's above the. It was both amazing and a shit show at the same time.
Right.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I told
top 8 though is a little toxic, Jared, from MySpace.
It didn't have to be top 8 though. It could be top 4.
True.
It could be top 8. It could be top 16. Maybe even a little bit more than that. But I know you could at least go 4, 8, and 16.
Right.
And you could choose. Yeah. If you were super popular and super cool, it was the top 4.
Right.
But everyone had Tom as a friend as well.
Of course. You had to.
Tom was like the, what's going to happen, dude? When Mark Zuckerberg finally like turns like into like partially robot and like fully takes over the globe, there's going to... Tom's gonna come back in his white t-shirt and jeans and save the fucking world.
Yes, dude, I hope so. I'm on Team Tom for sure, Jared, without a doubt. The funny thing was, too, though, I remember when Facebook first came out, there was a girl that sat on the bus with me, and she had an older sister who had a college email account. So she used her older sister's college email account to log on to Facebook. And she was like showing me Facebook. And I was like, this is dumb. Like, there's no songs. There's no cool customized backgrounds. Boring. Yeah.
Although my sister had Facebook when it first hit, because she started college in 2010 or whatever.
Okay.
So she got it in, I think Facebook, I don't know when it started, but I feel like
2004
was when but well, whatever. She had it
still in the early days. Yeah.
She had it when you still needed a college account to get it. And I wanted one just because of the exclusivity of it. Sure. I was jealous of that. And she never let me even look at it. So it was always a mystery to me. Like, what's happening over on that Facebook? But yeah, Facebook was boring. And I don't understand. So did we just get over the complexity of MySpace? Is that it? We're just like, all right, that was fun, but really, we don't want all the window dressing.
Right.
We just want
That's
the
a
features.
great question.
Because I miss the features. I miss there's no customization.
There's more pizzazz, Jared. Some personality to it.
There's no customization available on any social media these days. Tumblr? Does Tumblr still exist? It exists, but you can't. I think it still does exist.
Does it?
You can't post porn on there anymore, so no one goes there anymore. That was their biggest downfall, was deciding not to allow. I don't know, but I think it does still exist. But yeah, I don't know. I do miss that.
It was fun.
Maybe that's just like nostalgia, like of the simpler days more than anything.
Could be. You know what was another game changer though, Jared, in terms of websites, is YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like I remember when YouTube first came out, I remember like telling my dad about it, and he was like, "Wait a minute,
first popular video?
What was the first? They were random as hell. The first couple of videos on YouTube. Oh, that was a big one.
Me.
That was a big one. Yep.
Obviously, I remember the Chocolate Rain guy. I don't know why he came into my head.
Rain.
I have no idea why that guy came into my head. Chocolate Rain. Yeah, I feel like I was not into YouTube in early YouTube days.
I mean, I wasn't super into it. I was still more enamored by like MySpace and AIM and those types of things. And then I got on the German version of like Facebook called SchülerVZ back in the day. SchülerVerzeichnis.
I remember that one.
That was a good one. Messaging some, random German cuties back in the day. That was fun.
I had a SchülerVZ, but I never really used it because even when I got it, still most of the everyone was really using Facebook at that time.
Right.
As I've mentioned before, one of my favorite eras of Facebook ever was when I lived in Germany, and it was the sports bet era. Oh, God, I missed that.
Wait, what? What is this?
I've talked about this before. It's nice to know that you never listen.
I like how you expect me to remember everything we talk about.
I do. Next
time I'll bring my notes in my paper,
well,
Jared.
I'll say it again. Next time. You don't have it this time. It was... So it literally is just it was fake money. There was no real money, but you start off with
right. I do remember you talking about this.
With like a certain amount of fake money, and then you just literally bet on sports games. And obviously my parents hated it, and most of my friends' parents hated it.
Sure.
Because it probably didn't instill good qualities into children.
Slope, Jared, exactly.
But I still hate gambling to this, or not. Real gambling, I should say. I don't hate it. I just don't want to do it. Let's be clear. I don't hate it. I don't care if people do it.
Tune into our episode about casinos to know how much how little we know about gambling.
But it was and it wasn't. It was what do you call it? It wasn't gambling the line. It was just straight. What is it? It's just straight. It was just straight up, I believe. I don't know if it was the money line. You gambling the money line, I believe, is where you like have odds, and it's like I don't think there was any odds. I think it was just this person's going to win or this person's going to win. But I did a lot of the sports, obviously soccer, whether it be clubs or international. I think I did some basketball, probably all the major sports.
Okay, nice.
And I was like, I should come in the next morning, check to see how fucking Aston Villa performed against against Everton last night. Two teams I'd never heard of.
Oh, dude. Speaking of like Facebook games, they used to have that like farm game that was pretty popular for a while. Yep. I think that was on Facebook, wasn't it? There were a couple like random Facebook games. I remember I'd always get invites from people because if they sent you an invite, they'd get like a certain amount of like tokens or some shit.
The one I remember, was this on Facebook? But the one I remember was I enjoyed Plants vs. Zombies. That was a fun one.
Oh, that was a good one.
Well, I think that was on Facebook.
Might have been. I think so.
I don't know. Facebook does Facebook still do games? I don't know. I don't know what's happening on Facebook. Or is it just a lot of bunch of
You're not even
Karens?
On Facebook anymore, are you?
No, I do not have. I have a Facebook, but I deleted my Facebook that I'd had forever a couple years ago. Then I just started a new one when I moved, just for Marketplace, and haven't opened it since. But
it's probably a good choice, Jared. You're not missing.
Yeah, like
much,
I don't have friends or anything, but on Facebook or in real life. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, social
Facebook
media
games. Yeah, social.
Oh
media.
yeah, Facebook games. So yeah, I don't know if they have games on Facebook anymore, but That was a good era. I do remember Plants vs Zombies, and I never played Farmville, but I definitely remember that one too.
Watch this.
Sorry.
Woo!
I played that earlier as an example of early apps, and now it's in my. I accidentally hit it
On the drums.
Anything else you want to talk about, Chad, regarding the progression of internet?
Well, it's just crazy how everything has gone from, we went from like floppy disk to like cloud technology. We've gone from Walkmans and cassette tapes and CD players to, MP3 players, and then, now just everything's on a smartphone. It just blows my mind the level of connectivity and technology you can hold in your hand with like a phone. And here's another one too, Jared.
You really are blown away by technology. This is like the 5th time you've said the exact same thing.
It probably won't be the same the last time I say it, Jared. Another thing though too is tablets, dude. Like, I'll be honest with you, I never thought in my entire life I would see my dad, my 75-year-old dad, use a fucking tablet.
Yeah.
And
tablets have ruined my life because every time I put no, that's a little exaggeration. I'm not a tablet person. I don't see any need for it in my life, but I don't understand this for the life of me. Because every time I put my computer in front of my parents' face, they touch the screen like it's an iPad.
Yep.
And I'm like, both of you guys use laptops on a normal basis. Why do you keep touching the screen of this?
They clearly expect you, Jared, the younger person, to have the most updated tech with a touch screen.
Is that the most updated tech though? Just a touch screen?
I don't think so, but
okay,
that's like something I feel like a lot of older folks tend to.
But it is so annoying. I'm like, it's a computer.
Right? Why are you tapping the screen? For sure.
Like, don't you guys have computers that you don't? I was like, it's so confusing to me. But yeah, that's all. That's we eat tablets. I mean, that's not internet. That's just a piece of technology. That's a piece of hardware, I should say.
Right. Well, it's all a piece of hardware. I mean, smartphones.
No, internet is not a piece of hardware.
Well, internet itself is not. No, but I mean the devices which we use to access it.
I see.
But yeah, like tablets. It blows my mind to think about as well, just how the process of things has changed through the internet. Right, like Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. That's going to show how old I am, right? Like if you were born probably in like the 2010s, you probably don't even know what Blockbuster is, other than you might have seen it on a meme or heard about it. But
I was a Hollywood video guy myself, but okay.
Okay, no. There you go. Dude, I saw one of those like in Bloomfield Hills or something, and I was like, what? How are you still open? Yeah. I forget where it was, but it was somewhere in Metro Detroit. And it blew my mind because it's like, with Netflix and Hulu and all the streaming services, YouTube TV now, why would
Hollywood Video?
I don't know if it was Hollywood Video, but it was a rental, like a DVD, movie rental shop.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure I thought it was in Bloomfield Hills, but I could be wrong. I don't know, man. It's really crazy though too, just to think about, like I said, like cloud computing technology, streaming. We have access to so many things. But then the other crazy thing about the internet too, Jared, is that now I think it's so hard to sometimes tell like what is a credible source and what isn't. Like there was this guy that did this viral TikTok video. It was hilarious. He was like, I'm going to prove to all of you that you can find whatever you're looking for on the internet. What he meant was you can have one view, look it up, find quote unquote supporting evidence for your belief. So what he did was he was like, all right, we're going to take the example of coffee. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Google if coffee is bad for your eyesight. And then he found like a bunch of studies that said, coffee was bad for your eyesight. And then of course the opposite of that would be that coffee is good for your eyesight. And he found sources, quote unquote evidence backing both of those things.
Yeah. There's too much information.
Right.
That in itself is a whole cultural thing where it's like what food, the current healthy versus unhealthy food,
right.
Whether it be eat just egg whites, no, eat the whole egg, no, just eat the yellow part. Milk is good for you. You need milk for strong bones.
Right. Milk is terrible for you.
Yeah, milk is pointless and terrible for you.
Right.
There have been carbs, the whole war on carbs. Forget the war on Christmas. The war on carbs is the real war we need to be concerned with. Yeah, that's a whole cultural war in itself. Is just what food is good for you versus not good for you at any given time.
Right. Well, and now I think what's changed so much about the internet, or maybe I just wasn't aware of it when I was younger, but just like there obviously have always been internet trolls, but I think to the level of trolling now, and like people like Twitter's a great example of this, right? Like I'm actually surprised we haven't really talked about Twitter today, because Twitter is also a huge monumental thing that happened on the internet, where it's like all these
media.
Random people can share random thoughts, opinions, facts, ideas. Doesn't matter how true or false or ridiculous they are.
Sure. Yeah, but I guess though it's just social media though. To me, it just seems like a progression of Facebook in a sense, where it's like people have the ability to share those stupid thoughts on Facebook too, and did on Facebook before that,
right?
And now that's just another outlet to do it. To me,
true.
I don't know. I don't think I feel like Twitter is not revolutionary as far as the internet goes. It's
really?
Just streamlined the ability for people maybe to just get straight to saying stuff. No, I don't think it's revolutionary.
But I think that in itself is kind of revolutionary.
But but you could do that on Facebook.
Yeah, but it doesn't come across the same way.
Okay.
Like
it doesn't come across the same way, but the idea of sharing your thoughts like that is not a new idea.
Right.
Like Twitter is not the one that came up with the idea of having a place for someone to write like a quick thing about what you're feeling in that moment.
That's true. That's true. You're right. And I still even remember, Jared, like when you would log on to Facebook, it's like Chad, what are you thinking about, or what are you doing? It was like, Chad is blah blah blah. It's
sure, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a logical step for me, where it's like, yeah, I'm sure it's not helping. It's obviously not helping society.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything new with what Twitter is doing.
Now, let me ask you this question though, Jared, because I wonder this sometimes, especially when I see like my nephews and my niece, just because they're always on like their tablets or their games or whatever. Do we take the internet for granted?
Sure. Yeah, probably. Yeah. We take life for granted. That's why people have the...
That's a good point.
That's why people have the luxury of not getting a vaccine and believing that it's because of all the stuff they read on the internet and because of what Joe Rogan told them.
True. Yeah. I don't know. As someone who... And I've had this conversation with my roommates numerous times about we're kind of the last generation when it comes to life, knowing what life was like before the internet, or the youngest generation, I guess, knowing what life was like before the internet, and then seeing how the internet has changed things. Whereas I feel like if you just grow up with the internet, like I'll never forget when my nephews asked me one time, he was like, he said, yeah, well, couldn't you just Google it? And I was like, no, I had to go into a fucking library and find an encyclopedia and go into the index section of the encyclopedia and have to look up whatever I was searching for.
Yeah. I feel like you give off the sense that like we're older than we really are. Because, yeah, I mean, there was a period where we had to do that. But I feel like you sound like you talk like...
Back in my day.
Yeah, you talk like not whatever the generation above us is. Gen X? Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
Gen X.
Gen X, yeah.
Like a 40-year-olds. Where it's like, yeah, we had that, but for like 5 years. Right. Like by the time we needed to actually do research, I don't know. I feel like we didn't have that much time of really needing to live internetless.
I agree with you.
Practically speaking.
Right. I agree with you, Jared. But let me tell you about a vivid memory I have from 6th grade. We all had to take this like special social studies class
2003
on how to literally take a book, and then I remember it like it was yesterday. We had these stupid fucking yellow and blue note cards. And we had to write out using like MLA, APA, some type of like, cite your sources type of formatting. We had to write it out by hand. And then the teacher would look at it. And here was the bullshit thing about it. She would look at it and she'd go, the gap between the period there and your next like letter, that's bigger than 2 spaces. And, at the time I didn't say this, but, it's like, bitch, like I'm not on a computer. Like, how do you want me to?
Oh, this was by hand?
Yeah. Yeah. And she had even told us, and this was an older teacher at our school, but she had told us, she was like, you're going to need to know how to write your citations out by hand because it's really important. And then, 10, 15 years later, me in grad school, I have a legitimate citation generator on my computer that saved all of my sources, saved the correct formatting, everything.
Even using those were kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I remember in the stages, like when you were writing papers in high school and college, and then you had to type in like you had to look at the source and go find when it was published and type it into the thing, and it like spits it out and then pay. And I was like, I hated that. Oh God, I hated that. And then there was like the site selection. Do you want it MLA, APA, Chicago style?
Right.
And it's like you clicked APA instead. No, it's wrong. I was like, yeah, but you see I hated that. Right. I hated that because I don't know. It's funny too because I make presentations, and not that I have to cite my sources like that but I do have to cite my sources, but not like that.
Right.
My one of my bosses is kind of a stickler for format and stuff. So maybe I should have paid attention when people were sticklers back in the day. They might have had a point.
Well, another example too, Jared, just of how the internet and tech has changed. I had a math class in 6th or 7th grade, and my math teacher was like, it's not like you're going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time. And it's like, joke's on you, math teacher. Like, we literally have a calculator if you have a smartphone, you have a calculator in your pocket at all times.
Does our smartphone calculator, is it possible to do, let me see, like
a
TIA,
tangent or like sine or cosine?
Yeah,
I would imagine you can, yeah.
Yeah.
And if not, there's probably a website you can Google and still use it on your mobile phone.
Wolfram Alpha.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
You can type in any sort of mathematical equation, and it'll give you the answer,
solve it for you?
And it'll show its work.
Oh, I could have used that when I was younger, Jared. Let me tell you.
I did use it when I was younger. That's how I know.
Okay. Smart. Our teachers, I guess, were wise enough to not tell us about that resource because I've heard of it actually when I started my job 2 years ago here in Detroit. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. The internet is such a wild place. It's amazing how it's influenced and changed our lives, and it's going to continue to do so in ways that we can't even imagine right now. Like you were saying, like it'd be badass if like everything's wireless. We have like holograms and shit. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna be dead before then, and I don't just mean because of old age. I mean because we're all gonna kill each other or we're gonna destroy the earth. More likely that. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, that's one way to end the episode on a positive note, Jared. I appreciate it. Well, let us know how the internet has changed.
Yeah, I think that
life.
is a positive way. We're gonna destroy the earth before we before technology destroys us.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, at least we're going out on our own terms.
Exactly.
Chad. That's
exactly, Chad.
At least we're going out on our own terms. Well, let us know.
Those robot dogs aren't going to kill me. Those yellow dogs are not going to get me. They're not even dogs. Those yellow four-legged robots.
Bro, I'm
the
not
fact
even
that I'm calling them dogs is part of the problem.
No, you know what I think it's going to be, Jared? It's going to be, this is going to make me sound crazy, but cyborg squirrels, bro. There's a bunch of squirrels by the house, and I was seeing them like interact, right? But yeah, cyborg squirrels.
I mean, that's genius around here,
right?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Exactly, and they can climb things, jump.
I mean, it does make you sound a little bit crazy, but we already know birds aren't real. So why would it be so crazy to believe that squirrels aren't real either?
That's fair. That's fair. Oh man, yeah. Well, we'll have to see. That's for sure. Stay tuned. For episode 4005 when the squirrel overlords come.
We're coming to you from a bunker.
Exactly.
The squirrels have taken over.
Oh man,
they're now sentient and can talk.
Right. Well,
robot squirrels.
Well, if you've seen Rick and Morty, that does happen with the dogs.
Yeah,
shit!
that's
Actually,
true.
There's a squirrel. Maybe that's where that idea came from. I just realized there's an episode as well in Rick and Morty where Morty asks Rick to like make him a helmet so he can listen to animals. And the squirrels are talking about some like government coup in like South America, and like they can see him making eye contact, and they're like, "Wait a minute, can this kid hear us and understand us?" And then they're like, "Hey, come back, little buddy! Like we just want to talk to you." And he like starts running home.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's where that idea came from. I can't take credit for that, but yeah, that would just be hilarious. But yeah, around here in Michigan, squirrels could do some serious damage, bro.
Oh yeah, dude! Imagine like when we were at Albion, those squirrels squirrels were brave.
They were.
Some brave squirrels.
They'd hop out of the trash can and give you a heart attack.
It wouldn't surprise me, those black squirrels. It wouldn't surprise me if the government specifically used the black ones. But like
Black
these are
Air
Africanized,
Force squirrel energy right there.
Africanized squirrels or something.
Right. Oh, man. All right. Well, folks, let us know how the internet has changed your life at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube and Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. And please, 5-star reviews on iTunes. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, until the squirrel overlords come, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and dos vidania.
I could totally see that trending on Twitter, like robot Africanized squirrels or like robotic Africanized squirrels.
Right. It's like in 2020, first it was the murder hornets, now it's the
exactly. That's
murder
the next
African squirrels.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Yeah. Crazy stuff, dude. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't imagine trying to live without the internet, though, Jared. Like, don't get me wrong. I love me a good weekend of camping and, like, not really any technology for the most part, but
you're still somehow connected to the internet when you're in those situations. Have you ever fully...
I haven't ever gone fully off grid. That would be interesting.
But not even off grid, though. Like, have you ever just fully disconnected from your electronics?
Well, that's how I listen to my music, Jared, is through my phone. So unless I was playing all the music myself, like on guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even my camper van. There's electronics in there.
Yeah, but there's no internet connection.
Right. True. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
People went camping, with cars before there was internet.
That is true.
But I meant like